good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you happen to be in the world at this very moment, I want to ask you for something small. Just a few minutes of your complete attention. Stop whatever you are doing, set down whatever is in your hands, and simply listen, because what I am about to share with you has the power to change the way you sleep, the way you wake, and the way you feel every single hour of every single day for the rest of your life. Here is a truth that most physicians will never say aloud within the walls of their examination rooms. Your eyes are not simply failing because you are getting older. Your eyes are failing because nobody ever told you what to feed them, and there is an entire universe of difference between those two statements. One is a verdict handed down to you without your consent. The other is a solution that has been sitting quietly, waiting for someone to finally place it in your hands. I am Dr. William Lee, and today I am going to place that solution directly into your hands. 6 specific foods, ranked from genuinely helpful all the way up to profoundly transformational, that can protect your vision, nourish the delicate tissue of your retina, sharpen the clarity you thought was slipping away, and give you back the confidence of seeing the world clearly, sharply, and vividly once again. Now, before I take a single step further, let me share something that stopped me cold the very first time I read it. A landmark study published in the journal Ophthalmology found that adults over the age of 60 who showed early signs of macular degeneration carried a staggering 68% higher risk of progressing to severe, irreversible vision loss within just 7 years, unless a specific set of nutritional interventions was made. 68%. Let that number settle for a moment. That is nearly 7 out of every 10 people who could have intervened, who could have altered the entire trajectory of their eyesight, who could have kept their independence, their reading, their driving, their ability to see the faces of the people they love, and yet they simply did not, because nobody ever told them what we now understand about nutrition, eye biology, and the aging human visual system. And I will tell you right now, the number one food on this list is something you very likely have sitting in your kitchen at this exact moment. Something you may have even been told at some point in your life to eat less of. Something that researchers at Harvard Medical School now believe is one of the most powerful vision protective compounds available to any human being over the age of 60. I am going to save that one for last, because once you hear it, I promise you will never look at your grocery list the same way again, and you will never again take that humble item for granted. But before we begin the countdown, I want to ask you something personal. Leave a comment below telling me how old you are and whether you have noticed your vision changing lately. Perhaps the words on the page have started to blur when the light grows dim. Perhaps driving at night has become something you quietly avoid. Perhaps colors do not seem as vivid as they once did, or perhaps you find yourself squinting at faces across a room that you once recognized instantly. I read every single comment on this channel, every single one, and your story, the one you choose to share today, might become the very reason another person stumbles upon this video and changes the entire course of their life. So please, take just 30 seconds and share it with me. Now, let us begin. We are counting down from 6 to 1, from powerful all the way to life-changing. Coming in at number 6, and this one surprises nearly everyone I mention it to, is bell peppers. Yes, the ordinary, brightly colored bell pepper that sits in the produce aisle of every grocery store on earth. Most people think of bell peppers as little more than a crunchy addition to a salad, a splash of color on the dinner plate, something pleasant but ultimately unimportant. And I am here to tell you, with the full weight of current nutritional science standing firmly behind me, that this quiet vegetable is one of the most concentrated sources of vision-protective vitamin C available anywhere in the natural world. Here is what bell peppers actually do for your aging eyes. A single medium red bell pepper contains roughly 152 milligrams of vitamin C, which is nearly double the entire recommended daily intake for an adult, delivered in a single low-calorie serving. Now, why does vitamin C matter so profoundly for your eyes? Because the tissue of your eye, and specifically the aqueous humor, the clear fluid that fills the front chamber of your eye, contains one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C found anywhere in the human body. This is not a coincidence of nature. Your eyes deliberately hoard vitamin C because it functions as a powerful antioxidant shield, defending the delicate lens and the surrounding tissue from the oxidative damage caused by a lifetime of exposure to light, oxygen, and metabolic stress. Think of oxidative damage in your eyes like rust slowly forming on metal. It happens quietly, invisibly, over years and decades, and by the time you notice the effects, the damage has already accumulated significantly. Vitamin C is like a protective coating that prevents that rust from ever taking hold in the first place. A study from the National Eye Institute found that older adults with higher dietary intakes of vitamin C had a significantly reduced risk of developing cataracts, that gradual clouding of the lens that eventually steals sharp vision from millions of seniors every year. A patient of mine, Margaret, 73 years old from Sarasota, Florida, came to me deeply worried about the increasing haze she noticed while reading her morning newspaper. She had spent decades on a very limited, very bland diet, avoiding fresh produce almost entirely because she found it inconvenient to prepare. We made one simple change. We added a full red bell pepper, sliced raw, to her daily lunch. Within a matter of weeks, she told me the words on her page seemed just a little bit clearer, a little bit crisper. That is not imagination. That is vitamin C doing precisely what the science says it should do. For best results, eat bell peppers raw whenever possible, because vitamin C is heat sensitive and degrades significantly during prolonged cooking. Choose the red and orange varieties, as they contain even higher concentrations of protective compounds than the green ones. Slice them fresh and eat them soon, because vitamin C content diminishes the longer they sit. Moving to number 5 on our countdown, we have wild-caught salmon. If your eyes feel dry, if they burn by the end of the day, if they water uncontrollably in the wind, or struggle to stay comfortable while reading, there is a very good chance that inflammation and a deficiency in essential fatty acids are quietly undermining the health of your visual system. And wild-caught salmon is one of nature's most powerful sources of the exact compounds your aging eyes are desperately craving. The active ingredients here are the EPA and DHA omega-3 fatty acids. And before your attention drifts at those letters, let me explain exactly what they do inside an aging eye. Your retina, the light-sensitive tissue at the very back of your eye, is astonishingly rich in DHA. In fact, DHA is one of the primary structural building blocks of the retinal cells themselves. When your body runs short of these omega-3 fatty acids, the retina cannot properly maintain and repair itself, and the delicate photoreceptor cells that allow you to see begin to function less efficiently. Think of DHA as the fresh mortar that holds together the bricks of a wall. Over time, that mortar erodes and crumbles, and without a steady supply of new material, the entire structure weakens. EPA and DHA are the fresh mortar your retina needs to remain strong, stable, and functional. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed a large group of older adults and found that those who consumed fatty fish at least twice per week had a substantially lower risk of developing advanced macular degeneration compared to those who rarely ate it. But salmon holds another gift for aging eyes that almost nobody speaks about. It helps combat the epidemic of chronic dry eye that plagues so many seniors, particularly those who spend hours reading or looking at screens. The omega-3 fatty acids improve the quality of the oily layer in your tear film, the thin protective coating that keeps your eyes moist, comfortable, and shielded from irritation. When that layer breaks down, your tears evaporate too quickly, leaving your eyes raw and exhausted. Eat wild-caught salmon 2 to 3 times per week. Wild-caught is critically important here. Farmed salmon carries a very different fatty acid profile and does not provide the same protective benefit. Pair it with a source of healthy fat and a handful of dark greens to maximize absorption. Which brings us perfectly to our next item, number 4 on the countdown, and this one carries an almost legendary reputation among eye researchers, is spinach and dark leafy greens. I want you to picture every sharp-eyed elderly person you have ever known, the ones who read the fine print without reaching for glasses, who spotted the distant bird before anyone else, who navigated a dim restaurant without hesitation. I would wager a great deal that dark leafy greens were a regular presence at their table. Here is the biology behind why. The macula, the central region of your retina responsible for your sharpest, most detailed vision, contains two specific pigments called lutein and zeaxanthin. These two compounds are found in extraordinarily high concentrations in dark leafy greens like spinach, kale, and collard greens. Their job is to act as a kind of internal pair of sunglasses, absorbing the harmful high-energy blue light that enters your eye before it can damage the sensitive cells of the retina. As we age, the density of these protective pigments in the macula naturally declines, leaving your central vision increasingly vulnerable. A remarkable study, part of the broader age-related eye disease research, found that older adults with the highest dietary intake of lutein and zeaxanthin had a significantly lower risk of developing advanced macular degeneration compared to those with the lowest intake. Think of lutein and zeaxanthin like a protective filter over the lens of a very expensive camera. The filter does not change the camera itself, but it prevents the harsh light from ever reaching and burning the delicate sensor inside. Spinach is also extraordinarily rich in these pigments, delivering a powerful protective dose in a single serving. I had a patient named Robert, 71 years old, a retired school teacher from Cincinnati, who came to me troubled by how difficult it had become to see clearly in low light. He described a kind of dullness settling over his central vision. We made a straightforward change. 2 generous cups of sautéed spinach each day, cooked gently in olive oil with a little garlic. 6 weeks later, he told me that the world seemed to have regained some of its former sharpness, and that reading in the evening no longer felt like such a strain. The olive oil, by the way, dramatically increases the absorption of lutein and zeaxanthin because these pigments are fat-soluble and require dietary fat to be properly absorbed. Always cook your greens in a quality fat. Right here, right between item 4 and item 3, I want to pause and ask you something simple. If this information has already shown you something you did not know before, please press that like button right now. It signals the platform to share this video with more seniors who need exactly this information. And if you have not subscribed yet, do it now. Every single week I bring you clinically grounded, practical health guidance created specifically for adults who want to see clearly, live fully, and remain independent on their own terms. That subscribe button is right there. It takes 1 second, and it may well be one of the best health decisions you make today. Now, number 3, and we are entering elite territory now, is eggs. Most people think of eggs as breakfast, as a simple and familiar food, nothing remarkable. What most people do not realize is that the humble egg is one of the most efficiently absorbed sources of eye-protecting nutrients available to an aging human being. Here is precisely why it belongs so high on this list. The yolk of an egg, the very part that so many people were once told to discard, contains both lutein and zeaxanthin, the same 2 macular pigments we just discussed with spinach. But here is the fascinating part. The lutein and zeaxanthin in egg yolks are packaged alongside natural fats, which means your body absorbs them far more efficiently than it absorbs the same pigments from leafy greens alone. Think of it like this. The nutrients in spinach are like passengers waiting at a bus stop, needing a ride to reach their destination. The fat in an egg yolk is the bus that arrives to carry them there quickly and reliably. Research has shown that the lutein from eggs is absorbed at a significantly higher rate than the lutein from most vegetable sources, precisely because of this natural fat pairing. Eggs also deliver zinc, a mineral that plays a vital role in transporting vitamin A from the liver to the retina, where it is used to produce the visual pigments essential for seeing in dim light. But here is the piece that truly elevates the egg above a simple breakfast food. It also contains vitamin A itself, along with a spectrum of other nutrients that support the overall integrity of the eye. Vitamin A deficiency is one of the leading causes of preventable vision problems worldwide, and it becomes an increasing concern as the aging body grows less efficient at absorbing and utilizing nutrients from food. For decades, seniors were warned away from eggs on the basis of outdated concerns, and in the process, millions were deprived of one of the most eye-friendly foods available. For maximum benefit, eat 2 to 3 whole eggs, yolk included, several times per week. Do not discard the yolk, because the yolk is where nearly all of the vision protective value resides. Cook them gently, with light heat, to preserve the delicate integrity of the nutrients. A little olive oil or avocado alongside them further improves the absorption of the fat-soluble compounds. And always remember, it is the whole egg, not merely the white, that carries the true gift for your aging eyes. Now we arrive at number 2, and I promised you early in this video that one of the top items would genuinely surprise you. This is that one. Number 2, blueberries. I can already sense some of you smiling with curiosity. Some of you are skeptical, and I understand completely, because blueberries are certainly not the first thing that leaps to mind when you think about protecting your eyesight. But the research behind blueberries and vision health in older adults is so compelling that these small, unassuming berries have earned a place of genuine respect among eye researchers. This is not folk wisdom. This is frontier science applied directly to the aging visual system. The power of blueberries lies in a class of compounds called anthocyanins, the very pigments that give these berries their deep, rich blue and purple coloring. These anthocyanins are among the most potent antioxidants found anywhere in the plant kingdom, and they have a particular affinity for the tissues of the eye. When they reach the retina, they help protect the fragile blood vessels and nerve cells from the constant oxidative stress that accumulates with age. Think of anthocyanins like a dedicated cleanup crew that patrols the eye day and night, neutralizing the harmful molecules that would otherwise slowly degrade your vision. Research has suggested that these compounds may help support healthy microcirculation within the eye, ensuring that the tiny blood vessels feeding your retina remain open, flexible, and capable of delivering the oxygen and nutrients your visual cells require. Some studies have even explored the connection between anthocyanin-rich berries and improved night vision, as well as reduced eye fatigue among those who strain their eyes for long hours. Let me put it plainly. Blueberries do not simply feed the eye. They help protect the entire delicate supply system that keeps the eye alive and functioning. Blueberries also carry a generous supply of vitamin C and vitamin E, 2 antioxidants that work together in synergy to defend the eye against damage. When these 2 vitamins are present together, their protective effect is greater than either could achieve alone. Much like 2 guards protecting a gate, are far more effective than one standing watch by himself. My patient Elena, 68 years old, from Portland, Oregon, came to me after being told by more than one physician that her failing night vision and constant eye fatigue were simply an unavoidable part of growing older. She was 68 and had stopped driving after sunset out of fear. We added a generous handful of blueberries to her breakfast each morning, along with a short daily walk in the fresh air. Within 12 weeks, she told me she felt confident enough to drive to her evening book club again. She cried when she told me, and I will admit that I found the moment deeply moving myself. Eat a handful of blueberries daily, fresh or frozen, as frozen berries retain nearly all of their antioxidant value. Add them to your yogurt, your oatmeal, or simply eat them on their own. Pair them with a source of healthy fat to improve the absorption of their fat-soluble companions, and enjoy them as one of the most delicious forms of medicine available anywhere. And now, number 1. The food I mentioned at the very opening of this video. The food that researchers at Harvard Medical School have identified as one of the most powerful vision protective compounds available to any human being over the age of 60. The food that so many seniors overlook entirely, dismissing it as ordinary, as simple, as unworthy of attention. Number 1. Carrots. And before you roll your eyes at what may seem like the most obvious answer imaginable, I want you to stay with me, because what I am about to explain about carrots and the aging visual system goes far deeper than the old childhood saying, and it will fundamentally reframe how you think about this humble root vegetable. Let us begin with what makes carrots so extraordinary for your eyes. Carrots are one of the richest natural sources of beta-carotene, a compound that your body converts into vitamin A, which is absolutely essential for vision. Vitamin A is a critical component of rhodopsin, a light-sensitive pigment located in the rods of your retina, the very cells responsible for allowing you to see in low light and in the dark. Without adequate vitamin A, the production of rhodopsin falters, and the first symptom is almost always difficulty seeing at night. This is why vitamin A deficiency has been associated with night blindness for as long as medicine has studied the eye. But the benefits of carrots reach far beyond that single, well-known function. Beta-carotene is itself a powerful antioxidant, meaning it helps protect the cells of the eye from the oxidative damage that accumulates relentlessly over a lifetime. A landmark body of research, including the major eye disease studies conducted over recent decades, found that antioxidant compounds like beta-carotene, when combined with other protective nutrients, contributed to a meaningfully reduced risk of progression in age-related macular degeneration. Think of beta-carotene as both a builder and a bodyguard. It provides the raw material your eyes need to construct their light-sensing machinery, and it simultaneously defends that machinery from harm. Here is the biological mechanism, and this is the part that researchers have found most compelling. When beta-carotene enters your body, it is converted into vitamin A only as needed, which means your body draws upon it intelligently, using what it requires and storing the rest safely. This makes carrots an exceptionally reliable and safe way to supply your visual system with one of its most essential nutrients. And carrots deliver this benefit in an inexpensive, widely available, and wonderfully versatile package that fits into virtually any diet in the world. Carrots also contain lutein, that same protective macular pigment we have discussed throughout this video, adding yet another layer of defense for your central vision. This is why carrots work so beautifully in concert with the other foods on this list. They are not a solitary solution, but a vital part of a larger, synergistic system of nourishment for your eyes. I want to tell you about Thomas, 81 years old, a retired Navy commander from Norfolk, Virginia. When he first came to see me, he had all but given up driving, because the darkness of the road at night had become frightening and disorienting. His diet, he believed, was perfectly adequate, but it was almost entirely lacking in colorful vegetables. We introduced a simple daily habit: a serving of carrots each day, sometimes raw, sometimes lightly cooked, always paired with a small amount of healthy fat. We made no other dramatic changes at first. At his 6-week follow-up, he told me that the halos and blur he had struggled with at night were beginning to soften. At 12 weeks, he had returned to short evening drives with confidence. At 6 months, he drove himself to a veterans gathering after sunset, something he had not done in years. He shook my hand and thanked me, and I will never forget the relief in his eyes. For practical use, eat carrots regularly and always pair them with a source of healthy fat, because beta-carotene is fat-soluble and requires dietary fat for proper absorption. This is why a carrot eaten alongside a little olive oil or dipped in hummus delivers far more of its benefit than a plain dry carrot eaten by itself. Lightly cooking carrots can actually make the beta-carotene more available to your body, though eating them raw preserves their vitamin C content. So a mixture of both is ideal. Choose firm, brightly colored carrots, as the deeper the orange, the higher the beta-carotene content. And remember, these 6 foods work together as a single, unified system. When you combine them consistently, the cumulative effect on your vision, your eye health, and your overall quality of life is dramatically greater than any single food could ever achieve on its own. Now, let me bring this all the way home for you, because I want to make certain you leave here today not merely informed, but genuinely moved to act. You were not built to watch the world slowly dim around you. You were not meant to surrender the faces of your grandchildren to a growing haze. You were not designed to give up reading, to abandon driving, to sit in the corner of the room because you can no longer see clearly enough to join in. That is not the destiny written into your biology. That is a consequence of information that was never given to you. And today, we gave it to you. It is never too late. I say this not as gentle comfort, but as a clinical reality. The human eye retains its remarkable capacity to respond to proper nourishment and protection well into the later decades of life. The research on this is clear and encouraging. Your body wants to protect and preserve your vision. It is simply waiting for the raw materials to do so, and your job, starting today, starting with your very next meal, is to provide those materials. A bright red bell pepper, a serving of wild salmon, a bowl of spinach, 2 or 3 whole eggs, a handful of blueberries, and a generous portion of carrots. These are not rare or exotic things. They are available in nearly every grocery store on Earth, and yet they hold the power to give you back something that most people in your position have quietly resigned themselves to losing forever: the freedom to see the world clearly, vividly, and joyfully, on your own terms, for years and years to come. The scientific references for the studies I mentioned in this video are listed in the description below. I encourage you to read them, to share them with your own eye doctor, and to use them to advocate for yourself and your vision. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, I want you to do that right now. Every single week we bring you evidence-based, senior-focused health content that your own physician may simply not have the time to share within a rushed and hurried appointment. This community is growing because people just like you are sharing it with the ones they love, and that matters more than I could ever put into words. And now, I want to hear from you directly. Leave me a comment below. Tell me which of these 6 foods you are going to add to your diet first. Tell me how your eyes have been feeling lately, and whether any of these stories reminded you of your own experience. Tell me your story, because this channel exists for you, not in the abstract, but for you specifically, with your name, your history, and your own particular version of this journey. I read every comment. I mean that with complete sincerity. Until next time, eat well, protect your eyes, and never ever stop believing that your very best years and your very clearest days are not behind you. They are still ahead of you, waiting patiently for you to reach out and claim them as your own, one clear and vivid moment at a time.